Did Richard kill his stepfather? Well, that's the craziest theory I can come up with off the back of this week's filler episode of DTF St. Louis. During the police interrogation, Clark Forrest told the detectives that he'd stopped answering their questions because Floyd didn't want his stepson to find out about their arrangement, that his stepfather was sharing his wife with his best friend. But who's stopping us from believing that he hadn't already found out about it and decided to confront Floyd while he was at the pool house? In episode 6, Carol mentioned to her umpire gig manager, Stephen Queese, that she needed to pick up a bike for her son. We know that Clark had given his extra hand cycle to Floyd so he could lose some weight, but we never saw him riding that bike again after his accident. Furthermore, at the beginning of this episode, Richard pointed out that Floyd's best friend Clark had a cool bike, so it could be that either Clark or Floyd told Richard to use the bike as it would make him look cool among his peers. And on the morning of Floyd's murder, it was Richard who went to meet his stepfather because he wanted to talk about something really important. So I have two ideas here. Richard might have found out about his parents' marital arrangement, or maybe one of his friends showed him a photo of Floyd from an old adult magazine, making Richard a laughingstock. I guess this could be the whole reason why the writers had kept that CCTV footage blurry, as they didn't want us to find out that it was Richard who took that hand cycle to the pool. In the previous episode, when the detectives took out a search warrant to locate the second bike, Carol didn't seem bothered, probably because she didn't use the bike on the night of the murder. However, let me make this clear. I'm not saying it was Richard who spiked Floyd's morning drink with amphetamine. And I don't think Carol did it either. I believe it was Floyd who overdosed himself with the drug because he wasn't sure if he would be able to face Richard again after that confrontation. And this could also explain why Floyd scratched his face out on the magazine page moments before his death, likely because he wasn't proud of the things he had done in the past and wanted to erase it all from his life. But even all these theories don't explain what Floyd was doing at the pool house at 4 a.m. in the morning, especially when he was aware that Tiger had nixed him. Well, I don't know the answer either, but a lot of other things happened in the episode. So with a spoiler warning, allow me to break it down further. Floyd feels depressed. You know, I've always believed that these dating apps make you lonelier than you already are. Here, people seek validation and instant gratification, which is why they lie about their age, name, weight, or height. That's what Christopher did. But Floyd didn't want any part of that. He was an honest guy who wanted people to like him for who he was, and Clark kinda respected that, but the problem here is, the world doesn't work that way. To everyone else, Floyd was a middle-aged, overweight guy with no remarkable features. We know he was kind and caring, but these are not the qualities that are in demand on a dating app. So, long story short, Floyd didn't get any matches except for Modern Love on DTF, which made him feel like he was slowly disappearing from the world. A guy who once featured on a magazine cover was now struggling to get noticed in the real world. Floyd was aware that he was overweight and he was working on it, but he wasn't sure how long it was going to take to lose those extra pounds. He was slowly giving up, and Clark could see that. However, things got worse when Carol refused to sleep with Floyd. The couple set up a date at Quality Garden Suites as they wanted to reignite the intimacy between them. But once again, Floyd's weight made Carol feel like she wanted to squirm out. She told him that she couldn't do it with him anymore. It likely marked the end of their physical relationship, if I dare say so. Since the beginning of the show, we have been made aware that Floyd's weight is an issue, as Carol brought it up multiple times. But what I'm not sure about here is whether Carol said those words deliberately to make Floyd feel bad about himself, or if she said it because she truly felt that way. Whatever the case might be, after that incident, Floyd wasn't himself anymore. He couldn't stop thinking about Carol's words and started feeling like a loser. He felt that nobody would ever get aroused looking at him and his sexual life was over. Beware. I think Clark could kind of relate to what Floyd was going through, as he had been feeling the same before he met Floyd and Carol. On a normal workday, he had a panic attack and suddenly screamed the word beware, and did karate on the shooting set. When he later played back the situation in his head, he realized that it was his body that was trying to tell him that his life had become monotonous. He wasn't living anymore, just surviving and slowly disappearing from the world. Just like Floyd Smyrnage. He wanted to do something dangerous that would make him feel alive again, and it was at that moment that Carol stepped into his life. Well, I think one could also interpret beware as a sign from heaven, which might have been trying to warn him of the woman who is going to ruin his life, as she would get him into a situation that would destroy his family. Amy Forrest already knows about her husband's affair, and I'm not sure if things are ever going to be the same between them. She may even file for divorce, and it's likely that Clark will lose custody of his girls. But Clark didn't think that far, he just wanted to get a taste of some danger. Tiger. Clark really wanted to cheer up his best friend, so created a fake DTF profile under the name Tiger and liked Floyd's profile rock solid, believing it would make him feel seen in this world. Clark assumed that if he sent a like from a male profile, then Floyd would probably not want to meet the guy, especially after his encounter with Modern Love. But turns out, Floyd wanted to go on a date with him. He thought his username was inspired by the main character of a Rudyard Kipling story, where he was a pretty lonely guy just like him. And he wanted to meet him to see if there was any connection between them or if Tiger might get aroused by him. However, it needs to be stated that Floyd isn't gay. He doesn't like men that way, and the only reason he wanted to meet Tiger was because he was desperate for some validation. If Tiger was turned on by Floyd's presence, then that would reassure him that there was still some hope left for him. You can say this might have convinced Floyd to keep pushing harder to become a better version of himself. And this was the reason why Clark badly wanted to help him out, so Floyd wouldn't give up on his life. Clark tried to find a Tiger for Floyd. He came up with Denny's plan to locate a guy who would be willing to go on a date with Floyd for $900. And not just the date, Clark wanted this guy to get aroused looking at Floyd. In Chicago, he encountered a guy, let's call him Tiger, who seemed interested in Clark's offer. However, he took his words with a grain of salt. Tiger suspected that Clark's offer was too good to be true, which was why he followed him all the way to St. Louis, where he finally figured out what Floyd actually looked like. Clark had shown Tiger an old picture of Floyd from back when he was kind of fit, but when Tiger saw Floyd running with a huge belly in the joggers park, he told Clark that he wouldn't be able to do the job. He turned down Clark's offer and left. Floyd, who had been standing at a distance, saw Clark talking to this guy and asked what the fuss was about. And Clark didn't want to lie to Floyd anymore and therefore told him the truth in ASL. The last straw. The thing is, what Floyd actually wanted was much more complicated than it appeared. From what I understood, Floyd was struggling with low self-esteem, which was why he wanted someone to get organically attracted to him. He wasn't looking for sex, because if he was, he would have simply paid for a sex worker. He wanted to see if he could click with Tiger and get him aroused. But my point here is, Floyd had already made Modern Love feel that way, so why didn't he bring that up? Christopher saw Floyd for who he was, and he was attracted to him the way he wanted. So if Floyd just wanted to feel good about himself, then why didn't he just go on a date with Christopher? He'd already had a silver lining or a ray of hope, but for some reason, Floyd refused to acknowledge it. What I'm trying to say here is that there are billions of people on the planet, and only a handful of you are going to genuinely like you for who you really are. But if you keep looking for fresh faces to like you each and every day, then you're just going to depress yourself and ruin your self-esteem. If Floyd knew that his weight was the big villain in his life, then he should have worked on it and given himself time, instead of looking for instant gratification. Furthermore, Floyd seemed like a hypocrite to me, as he expected everyone around him to get attracted to him naturally, but he himself had been using amphetamine to get it up for his own wife. So my 2 cents here, the crux of the issue is always in our head, and believe it or not, but we have always been the architect of our own destruction. Clark wanted to get a kick out of his life and ended up cheating on his wife, and it is his daughters who will have to pay the price for it. In Floyd's case, it's likely Richard who's going to suffer the most. What to expect from the finale? In DTF St. Louis episode 6 ending, Floyd found out that he had been nixed by some random guy whom he had never met. And this is definitely going to bother him for a very long time, or as long as he's alive. I'm not sure if he will be mad at Clark for lying to him or paying a guy to meet him, because Clark was just trying to help his best friend and cheer him up. So is this going to be the moment when Floyd will start thinking about ending his miserable life, or is there more to this story? Well, if it wasn't Floyd who spiked his energy drink with amphetamine, then likely there's someone else who killed him. And I'm quite certain that it isn't Carol, because the past few episodes have been framing her as the culprit, so she's probably just a red herring. She may have a role to play in Floyd's death, but she's not foolish enough to get involved in it directly, likely showing up at the crime scene on the night of Floyd's murder. Also, the penultimate episode didn't reveal the details of Carol's sealed conviction. I know the writers have been withholding this information for the season finale, as her conviction might play a role in the investigation and may reveal the real culprit. If I have to take a shot in the dark, this conviction might have involved Richard, as Carol had been trying to protect him from the very beginning. Well, these are my thoughts on the 6th episode of the show, but if you have anything to add or share, please feel free to drop a comment below. Thank you for watching this video. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for your weekly dose of cinema and series. See you in the next one, and for the time being, we're signing off. Bye!